Hello again and welcome to another Mordian Mondays. This is episode 53. Now this week guys, I've been working on some final couple of models for the Winter's SEO battle report that is coming up this Tuesday. So I'm not sure when I'll post it, but we'll be having the battle on Tuesday, which is really cool. And I just want to say once again, before we get into the details of the video, there's a massive thank you to all of my supporters who went over to his challenge video and upvoted the Morning Glory challenge, because without you, I'm pretty sure he never would have even registered the existence of the Morning Glory channel, but he had to, because we got the second most liked comment on that channel. So just thank you so much to all of my supporters. You guys are absolutely fantastic. For those of you that have been under a rock for the last month or so, I'm playing Winter's SEO in a battle report. I don't know yet if it's going to be on YouTube. I hope it will be. Or if it'll be on deploymentzone.tv. I'll let you know one way or another. And I'm hoping it's going to be on the YouTube side of things, because I'd like as many people as possible to see it, because that would be awesome. So, yeah, but I'm playing him. And it's going to be Tyranids, and it's going to be Guard, and it's going to be a bug hunt, and it's going to be an ugly planet, a bug planet, a planet hostile to life as we know it. And it's going to be awesome. So what I am, for those of you that want to know what we're bringing, I have no idea what Winter's bringing. All I know is it's going to be 2,000 points match play. We've hashed out some details, but we haven't compared lists or anything like that. There's going to be 2,000 points matched play. He's going to bring Tyranids. I'm going to bring the Mordian 50 rifles. High Fleet Kraken versus the Mordian 50th rifles. It is going to be an absolute bloodbath. There's going to be loads of models on the board. You know, when you play a NIDS, you always know you're going to be facing a lot of bugs, one way or another. And it's going to be epic. So I hope everyone is looking forward to that. I'll keep in touch with Winters after we've done the recording and everything, and find out when he plans to upload it. And then I'll let you guys know on this channel as well. And it'll be very exciting. It'll be very exciting. I'm very excited. I'm pumped. I'm a massive fan of his channel. It's in fact the Deployment Zone, his sort of paid service is the only one I'm subscribed to. And I just watch all his content. I just find it really very relaxing, and I think that what's great about it is you can listen to his stuff. Because I don't really watch. I normally talk about, when I'm painting, I like to watch Stargate and stuff like that. Problem I find with that is I end up watching the TV more than I end up doing the painting, so it takes me forever to paint anything. But I like to listen to stuff, so I've been listening to a lot of audio books, listening to Star Wars Thrawn this week, but I also like to listen to the Winter's SEO stuff, because he explains what's happening very well. And so that's why I've subscribed to his, because I find it very good. He's not telling me to do this, by the way. There's not a gun held to my head. Winters isn't there with his flat cap and a gun to my head saying, "Just promote the deployment zone." That's just it's just me. I just like that stuff. So anyway, that's coming up this week, guys. Be there or be square, or by square I mean the commissar's going to shoot you if you don't watch it. So there we go. Now, what have we been working on in preparation for this epic fight? We've been working on some last minute rule of cool additions to the Mordian 50th rifles. So I've been meaning to do this for a while, and I thought, you know what, going on a big battle report channel like Winter's is a great motivator to get those final finishing touches done to a force. So what I've done is I'm going there, and it's going to be 2,000 points of Guard, and I'm going to be taking a couple of platoons of the Mordian 50th. You guys know all about that. And what I have done is I'm taking some, I've added quite a narrative spin, fluffy spin onto the army. So I'm taking, lots of plasma as well. I'm not turning it with the soft list at all, but I'm just not turning it with a, 360 no scope 420 list. I'm turning it with a normal narrative Guard list. So so I'm turning it with plenty of plasma to take advantage of my weapon traits, but at the same time I've toned it down, so I am taking the Ogrins, for example, instead of the Scions, because the Scions are definitely the more competitive option than Ogrins, which are not competitive. You know, it's always good to have more meaty boys in the army, but it doesn't make them competitive at all. And then what I decided, I had a few points left over because the Scions are relatively expensive. I had a few points left over, and what I decided to do is I'm going to take a command squad for each platoon, because that's what a platoon would have. You know, you've got your infantry and your support elements and your characters, but every classic, you know, guard platoon used to have a command squad. And so that's what I've decided to put in there, as to add a bit more of a narrative spin on it and just soften the list down. So each command squad is going to have a regimental standard. Of course, you've got to have a standard. It's a flag. It's not the upgrade is called the regimental standard, but there's many flags in the Mordian 50th Rifles. So each platoon has its flag. And then also I have paid, and I have the models, I have paid for a medipack in each platoon command squad. I know what you guys are thinking. Medipacks. But they're actually not as bad as I thought they were. I've dismissed them. But they're so cheap. And I guess the only reason you wouldn't take one is because you can be taking a special weapon instead. So that's the only reason. But the medipacks themselves are quite good, because basically it's like an apothecary light. So those that aren't sure how the medipack work, basically it's 5 points, so it's dirt cheap. And you go near a squad, and if it's lost a wound, then like an ogrin or an officer, then on a 4+, it regains a wound. Doesn't regain D3 wounds, just regains a wound. And if it's got 1 wound, if it's a 1 wound model, so you can't be bringing back ogrins or bulgrins, what I understand, but you could be bringing back like other, guardsmen here and there. If it's got 1 wound, you bring it back to life. So what's quite interesting with this, which I hadn't really thought about before, is I've taken these as fluffy upgrades, but as I'm doing this video, as I'm talking it through, if I'm running a lot of plasma, and that plasma overheats and kills itself, because I actually often don't do take aim, I often do first rank fire, second rank fire, and just if I overheat and die, then I overheat and die. That's just how it is. But if I've got a couple of command squads rocking around, if the plasma gunner overheats and kills himself, I roll a dice, and on 4+, that plasma gunner comes back to life. That's actually quite good. Actually fits in with the theme of the army. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And then I have given each command squad a musician. Now there is no such rule for a musician, obviously, but for those of you that follow my army, I have a model with a drum, like a marching drum, and I have another model with a bugle. So I've taken those out of the regular infantry squads and I put them in the command squads. Now that will just be a veteran with a las gun, rules wise, but fun wise, it's a goddamn drummer boy and a bugler. I mean, how cool is that? And then the last model I've given a special weapon to. Now I originally wanted to give each command squad a sniper rifle, and I wanted it to be the platoon marksman, essentially, the best shot in the platoon kind of thing. But unfortunately, the models that I had available they wear camo capes, and it's not very Mordian. I mean, I will be painting them up, and I will have them in my collection, but I just thought it doesn't feel quite right. So what I might do is I may convert some sniper Mordians up, just 2 or 1 for each command squad, and instead what I went for this time is a flamer. Now the reason I've gone for the flamer is twofold, is because I've put more plasma in my list, I've actually taken a lot of flamer out, so now I've put the flamers in the command squads instead. And secondly, I do think it fits quite narratively. Yeah, the flamer is not a good choice in the command squad. It's 5 points and you don't take advantage of the veteran explicit skill 3+. I know that, but it's a fluffy choice, because how I imagine these command squads walking around is working on the battlefield, and in the narrative is they follow the platoon commander around. They follow or in this case it'll be a company commander, but they follow the senior officer around, and He's got this medic, and he's got his, his bugler, and he's got his regimental standard, and he's got his flamer guy. And when the commander, comes across a, particular site of heresy, then he points to his flame trooper and it's like, just cleanse that bit. Just cleanse that bit. Just bathe that in holy promethium. Because what you have to remember with the Mordian 50th Rifles is, yes, they are Iron Guard, but they are on a penitent crusade. Because for those of you that don't know, the Mordian 50th Rifles, the reason with the big sort of the narrative reason behind doing this whole restoration project and this repainting of them is that they are on a penitent crusade because they dared to use unconventional tactics, and the only reason they've been saved and not just exterminated is because they are going to prove their innocence. And every man has to prove his innocence. And it's a bit like the Last Chances, where there's only two ways to prove your innocence in the Guard. There's only one way to prove your innocence in the Guard, and that's death in the Emperor's name. That, holy martyrdom. So that's what they've been offered. So that's why we've got loads of priests and commissars in the army, and they had to do this because they dared to use things like sanctioned psychers. They dared to use things like, dishonourable tactics. They dared to not just wave attack like a good guardsman should. They started thinking for themselves. So, which they should never do. This is 40 cases, guy. You don't think for yourself. You obey the rules in place, and so they've basically put themselves on this penitent crusade. That's why you don't see astropaths in the army, and that's why you see things like Ogryns and Bulgryns, because a small mind is easily filled with faith. So that's why we have the Flamer in the command squads. It's part of this faith-based regiment, this purging, cleansing. Flamers are great for that. So there you go. That is what sort of the fluff thing and why I painted these two flags up. I've already got the musicians and the flamers, and I've already got the Medipack guys painted up. So just one last thing to say, I guess, is the models themselves. Which is, for those of you that don't know, these two models, the flag guy that's coming up next, let's start from scratch. This is Colour Sergeant Jaron Kell. He is technically a Cadian special character. I'm not running him as a special character. I'm just running him as a guy who's got a damn impressive flag. So he doesn't have a power sword. He doesn't have a power fist. He's just a banner bearer. Now, Kell is actually quite good in the rules, and I think it's a shame most Cadian players don't run him. He gives you access. I think it's because most Cadian players, most Guard players, don't run pure infantry, but I'm hoping that will change. I think in a pure infantry meta, Kell's very important because he is a good combat character, straight up, and you always want good combat characters in a pure infantry. You need that counter-attack punch, and most importantly, he gives you access to an extra order. It's like having an additional officer on the field. And he's a bodyguard as well. And in the age of sort of assassination, you don't necessarily want Kell to die, but you'll have him take a couple of wounds for another more important character using the bodyguard. Well, you don't want him to die because the opponent gets assassinated. So he's good, and he's cheap. It's like 40, 45 points, so he's an absolute steal. Now, I'm just using him as a flag bearer today, but that's where he's from. Now, this is an original metal Jaron Kell. I've had him since I first started collecting my Imperial Guard army, 15, 16 years ago, coming up to 17 years ago. So he is an old school model. Second flag is the old metal Cadian flag. So two metal models here. You guys know I love my classic metal models. Now you can still buy Jaron Kell now, but he comes in fine cast unless you buy him off eBay. And you can still get this other flag guy relatively cheaply because they sold absolutely thousands of them. It was the only way you could get a regimental standard before they brought out the new command squad box. So I absolutely love this flag model. I think not the Jaron Kell, the regular flag model. I think it's probably one of my favourite models of all time. And in fact, someone posted one recently, and I would say this might be my favourite model of all time. This guy with this flag, it's so cool. It epitomises everything that is the Imperial Guard. Just absolute grizzled sergeant using a flag. Absolutely fantastic. And obviously, of course, guys, I will be running. You can take veterans in command squads with las pistol and chainsaw. So the flag guys, each flag guy will. I'll see how I feel on the day. I'm probably run it as a las gun, but if I want to, I could run it with. He's got a las pistol and chainsaw, and both of them las pistol. That'd be kind of cool. So yeah. So if anyone's wondering on the color scheme for these flags, why I picked these particular ones. I wasn't sure on what to do, and so what I decided was to look at the legitimate colour scheme for these two models. What were they painted like in the day, back in the day? And back in the day, that was the colour scheme that they went for. I've adapted it slightly, based on the fact that slightly limited on paints, and also I didn't want it to be exactly the same. So I've used a lot of grey. I've used greys instead of whites. I've used yellows on the string, on the braid, sorry, rather than gold. So I have mixed it up a little bit, but this is very close to what the original colour scheme was for these models. You know, the heavy metal one, the one that the Games Workshop provided. And I thought, you know what, it's kind of like a little, it's a reference, isn't it? I love my references. And it's a little tribute to these old school models and the old school guard. And, you know, and I also think that it works really well because I want to incorporate a bit more red into the army. I really like red as a primary colour, so I feel like it's good for that. But it's not too over the top. The flags look great, and they will stand out greatly on the battlefield. But they're not too bright. Like the yellow is the brightest part on that, and even then I think it's a little too bright. I'd probably like to tone it down a little bit, but it's a bit late now. But it's really good, and I really like just the gold eagle on the flag, and yeah, I just think it works really, really well. So there you go, guys. That is what I've been working on this week. I really can't wait for this battle. I really, really love these models. I spent all week painting 2 models. Jaren Kell took me 3 evenings. I spent an entire evening just working on that banner. So I did an evening on him, an evening on the banner, and then an evening doing the washing and the edge highlighting and the basing. And the second flag didn't take quite as long. It's not got quite as much fine details, but the second flag still took me 2 days. Now, it's probably took me 8 hours to do Jaren Kell in total. And it probably took me about 5 or 6 on the other guy. So I put a lot of effort into these. And they've come out okay. I think they've come out. I'm pretty proud of the results. I'm pretty happy with them. But that's what I like to do with my special characters, with the ones that are gonna, or the special models, the ones that are gonna stand out. I don't rush it. I'm not saying all 8. I'm not saying all sort of 16 hours that I worked on these models. Probably was about 16 in total. I'm not saying it was all extremely intense. A lot of it was, just listening to an audio book, waiting for one wash to dry, stuff like that. But even so, even taking that into account, I probably spent about 4 hours of intense painting time on each guardsman. So yeah, and I've got a lot of guardsmen to get through. But there you go. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I hope you're really excited to see the Winter's Battle Report like I am. That's everything. So thank you for watching, and of course, I'll see you guys next time.